Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty Nomad. I've just come out of the shower, so my hair's a bit wet. I'm setting it. I have some styling products in it, and I'm going to do my makeup in the meantime, and I'll show you the finished look in the end. So I have a brand new tinted moisturizer from Nars. This is in St. Moritz. It's their Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizing formula. So I know that they just released the new Velvet Matte, which is more for combination skin, but this is great for a skin like mine, which is a bit on the drier side. And gonna pop it on with my fingers. Oh my god, it smells amazing. Now I'm jumping in with my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in medium 2. This is Ginger. I actually need to kind of head back to another Nars store. I don't know why I didn't pick it up when I picked up a tinted moisturizer, but this is on its last legs. And this is another real staple favorite product of mine. I'm going a little bit heavier with the concealer in all these different areas at the moment because I did just wear a tinted moisturizer, and as much as it is a good coverage tinted moisturizer, it still doesn't have the fullness of a foundation, so I'm just using the concealer in areas where, you know, like a little bit heavier than I normally would, just to pick up the slack. It's really hot in Melbourne at the moment, so I don't want to be wearing like a really full-on foundation. I heard from my sister who lives in Toronto that it was like -18 the other day. Sorry to bring up the fact that it's about 35 degrees here Celsius. I don't know, some people really like the cold and how they can layer and have winter fashion, but I am not a fan. Stick me on a tropical island any day. Alright, so there is my skin done. I'm using the last of my Hourglass Arch Brow pencil. Speaking of like needing to go and buy more products, yeah, this is, I've used this for like, I think I've had this particular pencil for a year, so it really lasts for a long time, but I've been using the Arch Brow by Hourglass for like 3 years now. I do switch it up and use other brow products here and again, but I always come back to this because I find the shape so useful and quick for filling in brows that are my shape. I have looked at other brands who have a similar kind of squared off tip. MAC does one, Bobbi Brown does one, who else does one? Anastasia. But I'm just such a fan of this formula. I find the MAC one is a tiny bit more triangular, so it's a little bit harder to use, whereas this is just like, look, it's just like kind of thin and flat and square, like, I suppose, so it's just a bit easier. I swear brows take so long. I literally did my skin in like a minute, and then I've been working on my brows meanwhile for like 5 or 6, like 5 times the amount of time to do my brows. But I don't know, I have an obsession with my brows. I think it's because like I had a unibrow and I was traumatized for years, so now I just need to get them right. Okay, on to eyes. Okay, so I just sort of like made this up as I went along. It's turned out a little bit more silvery gray than blue, but I'll show you the products that I used to like, well, what I thought would turn out blue, and how it sort of changed along the way. So to begin, I grabbed my Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in a shade called Sapphire, which is a very blue shade, as you will see in a moment. And I love this product because it acts both as a primer to the lid and as like a color, as you can see, like a base color. So it's kind of giving me a bit of a bluish base. I think if you have a lighter skin tone than mine, it might show up a truer blue, but on my skin tone, it kind of comes up a bit purpley grayish almost. So I've got that caviar stick all over my eye, and now I'm grabbing this Sunday Riley eyeshadow, the Primus Silk Eye Color in Indigo Waves. I'm just gonna grab it on a flat, sort of more like dense packing brush, and work that into the outer third of the eye. Just gonna try to build up darkness and intensity on the outer third and a little bit in the inner corner as well, because basically on the ball of the eye there is where I want brightness, where I want it to pop. So I'm just leaving space open for that, and I do that with a different product later. So I hope you can see the separation there between what was the base color. It's getting a bit more blue on the outer corners. Again, I'm not really sure how it's showing, how true on camera it's showing, but in the middle it actually looks a little bit more gray purple, and then on the outsides it's looking more blue. And to kind of fix that, like there, as you can see right now, it's just like a hot mess. Like there's nothing happening going into the crease. So I'm gonna grab a nice fluffy brush like this, and I'm using, this is from an older Nars palette. I'm gonna use this darker gray just to fill in that sort of gappy area up the top. A nice fluffy brush like that just allows us to do that really softly and without creating like harsh lines. It just gives you that beautiful gradient. Beautiful. So now we've kind of mapped out largely what's happened there, but there's still all these like subtle little adjustments that we need to make it the exact same as the other eye. So I'm grabbing on a pointed little brush like that, some black eyeshadow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tissue to just act as a bit of a shadow shield and also help me with where I want to place it. So I'm going to tuck it into that outer corner a bit more because I want more impact, more depth. And also, you see, it just kind of helps me keep everything tucked in close to the eye so it doesn't end up blowing out too far. And then I'm just going to use that same brush to help soften it all out again. Okay, now for the that big beautiful pop of, well, what's kind of ended up looking silver, but I was hoping would show up really blue. This is from Nars as well, and it's called Carioca, which I think is like a Brazilian term, but look at this beautiful, like fantastic aqua blue. It does make me think of Carnival in Rio. I'm just gonna grab that on my finger and I'm gonna pop that in that center area that I hadn't used the indigo waves. You see that? Just on the ball of the eye. And it just makes the whole thing pop, I think. And by doing this, what you've done is created this amazing dimension on the eye. You've actually helped open up the eye even more. I've got quite big lids, but if you have a more hooded eye, by doing this you would just actually add to the width of, no, not the width, the other way, the length of them, if that makes sense. It just helps open up the eye more. And then just back with that same brush that I'd used the gray in the crease, I'm just gonna go over the top of that just to marry everything back together. Next, I moved on to my Sephora Glitter Black eyeliner, and I just popped that down in a wing shape by the lash line. This whole thing feels like very Carnival. Got glitter, I've got bright colors. And then, you know, you can see here, I'd really diffused the point of that wing out, and what I'd done was I'd picked up that same pointed brush and added a little bit more gray and black over the outer edge. And time for some mascara. Oh, final touch. I used the caviar stick. A lot of people don't know that you can do this with these caviar sticks because they kind of just look like creamy shadow pencils, and so, you know, you can use them on the lid and people think it's just a primer or whatever. You can actually use this right in your waterline. So look at that. Cool, huh? Okay, so for contour, I'm going to be using my Stila Stay All Day bronzer in dark. It is just such a flat, shimmerless bronzer, so it's perfect for sculpting. I'm using it on my Ida brush from Nars. So just to really get in there and create my lines. Like, I literally don't think contouring could get easier than this. Like, perfect shimmerless flat bronzer on a brush this shape. If you only have a brush that's more like a blush brush, honestly, just hold it like that, like squeeze it into shape, stick it in, done. It is really harsh right now, these lines, like look at this, I look like a clown. So on a clean brush, I'm just going to take a clean brush and soften it out. There's your contour done. When I'm blending this through, I'm going to try to keep the color really close to like where I drew in the line and a little, and like blend it down a bit. I don't want it creeping up too far because that's where my highlight's going to go. And actually, speaking of highlight, I think what I'm going to do is put like a more glowy bronzer. I don't want to have any more pinky or blush colors going on my face, so I'm going to actually go on with another bronzer. This is the Warm Bronze Mineral Powder from Laura Mercier, but I'm going to kind of use it as a blush and a highlighter. It is a mineral powder, so you really want to kind of work it into the brush, and I'm just going to put it on the apple of my cheek and up into this highlight area. Do you see that? Do you see how the light's starting to bounce off of it? So you'll notice all this work has kind of happened above this invisible line. So like if I started from my ear and worked my way down towards the corner of my lip, I'm trying not to let too much fall into this bottom part where my jaw is, because I kind of, at the same time, while I want to hollow out my cheekbone, I don't want to like shrink my face away. I already have a small face, so I just want to keep space there. So I'm going to take a little bit of, this is the Nars Biscuit Concealer stick. I'm just going to clean up just a bit, just to make sure there's still enough brightness there. Look at that. Look at the two different sides of my face. So nothing, no color, no shaping. Here we've got a cheekbone, we've got definition, we've got lift, we've got warmth. Alright, so there's my contour done. It's even on both sides. I've checked that like all the angles are at the same place on both sides of my face. I've got an even amount of darkness. So for lips, I think I'm going to kind of keep things kind of more nude and glossy just because I've got kind of bigger colors elsewhere. I'm going to go right from the bullet and use the Dolce Vita lipstick from Nars because it's just really nice and soft. They advertise it as your own lip color, but better. I do notice it tends to like auto adjust on client. So it's not like a true nude in the sense of like, you know, when nudes have more of a yellow base and they really cancel out your lip color. This just kind of plumps out your own lip color. Like my own lip color is a little bit, I think it's kind of got a dusky pink undertone to it, so it sort of just brings that out a little bit. But I guess when I was saying nude and glossy, I guess to kind of cancel the pinkness that brought, I'm going to use this Bare Minerals gloss. I don't even know what it's called. Iced Coffee. Ooh. It actually doesn't have a lot of yellow in it either, but I figure, let's just see how I go. Because it is a gloss, and I figured if I layered it on top and then gloss catches the light, it'll just kind of end up distracting away from the bit of the pink that's come through with the lipstick. I was watching a tutorial with Sir John, who has been working with Beyonce, and you know, I really admire his work, and he was saying the trick that he learned from Beyonce, the Queen Bey herself, was that after you've kind of glossed like that and you wanted to, if you want to kind of like add to your lip, add a bit more pout, go like that, kind of stamp that gloss over the top of your lip line there, and it just kind of, do you see that? Like, do you see how it's like magically pouted out the top of my lip? That Bey, talented in so many ways. This smells really good. Okay, my hair is totally still wet. It's kind of setting down into the shape that I want for the night, like kind of like a beachy wave, but it's like actually still completely wet. So I'm gonna blow dry that, and I'll put up some photos for you guys later. If you follow me on Instagram, you can search me under Beauty Nomad or under Jazba_S. You can see what the finished look was like. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed watching this makeup tutorial and getting ready with me. And stay tuned for my next video, which is gonna be an Australian makeup haul, because as you can see, I was like running out of products left and right. So I need some replacements. I wanna check out what the girls use down under. And I'll catch you in my next video, hopefully. Ciao for now. Bye.